Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so very much for joining me today. I am really excited today. This is the opening of the Enchanted Life Communications Network. And today you are joining me. My name is Nyrka, and I am the host of Enchanted Expressions Beyond the Conversation with Nyrka. Enchanted Expressions Beyond the Conversation with Nyrka, and that is me. I'm really excited to be here today uh, on this platform. Mark my words, this is the beginning of a ever expanding, ever elevating, ever connected way to really reach out and begin to open our eyes to what the enchanted life really is. And the beautiful thing about it is that you have the power to create that enchanted life. You already have arrived with everything that you need. All of the questions that you need answered are within your reach. All of those things that you feel like you need are within your reach. All you have to do is stop, tune in, get on the right frequency, all right, connect with the right people, connect with your ancestors, and really begin to walk daily in that enchanted life. And that's the kind of thing we're going to be talking about here on Enchanted Expressions. We will always be looking at educating, informing, impacting, and connecting by sharing information that will build the bridge to your healing and to universal success. So I'm real excited. Today's first guest is Mambo Josy Smith, and I'm going to bring her right up here. Girl, oh, I'm just so excited. I'm always excited, but really now. Welcome, welcome, Josie.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited and so honored. Thank you.
This is just a great way to get us started. Um, I always like to share a little bit about how I meet people and what my experience is of them, and just really to kind of point out where the name came from, because what may just start out as just a regular conversation really turns out to be
So much
something
more.
beyond, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Starts out a regular conversation and then it just evolves into so much more.
Into so much more. And that was my first experience with Mambo Josy Smith. And I'm going to say that as a result of my meeting her, um, my life has changed. How I view my life,
Mm-hmm.
how I see the possibilities, and just immediately how I've walked away more confident
Mm-hmm.
and more empowered about my purpose and how to really follow through on that purpose, just from the start of sharing my little birth date, location, and time. It's such a big deal. But I want you to know, I'll tell you, I took a quick look at Josie's page, and I love this. Okay. She's about more than Reiki or tarot. herbal healing, or other spirit guidance. Check this out, folks. Okay. She is devoted to the soul work of healing others. All right, what a better place to be. Welcome to the collective and welcome to Enchanted Expressions. So, Josy, why don't you start out by telling us a little bit about yourself and how did you come to, understanding what your purpose is?
Thank you so much. Great question. And I love telling this story. So, about 6 or 7 years ago, I was struggling with my own identity. I had finally started to learn about myself, my confidence, my identity, who I was, but I was still hiding from spirit. And spirit wasn't really a fan of me hiding from spirit. And I was going through a difficult relationship situation. And one night, one of the dark nights of the soul, I actually heard the other person's voice in my head. I heard them calling out to me when they were not in my house. I had kicked them out. So when I heard them calling out for me, I sat up. It was late at night. I went looking through my house and I'm like, okay, so I either need to go see a professional and get, Western medicine, or I have a feeling this is a spiritual breakthrough and I need some form of training. I have had experience with Western medicine before. I am not knocking it. I just had the feeling that this was something different, completely different. And so I went searching for guidance. I couldn't find anyone where I was, no one anywhere near where I lived. And my ancestors brought me 2.5 hours away from my home to be trained. So fast forward, all of my mentors told me that I was meant for spiritual leadership. That was a large pill to swallow.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was there just for my own healing. I'm like, wait. You're telling me I'm meant to do what now? I'm just here for me. I'm here to fix myself. So they said, we know this is a lot to handle. And these were people who were individual of each other. None of these people knew each other. So I received the same exact message from 5 different people along the first few years, the course of my growth. And so I finally decided to step into the energy of being a healer, step into the energy of being a leader, bit by bit, slowly but surely, until it led me straight into initiation, which is another wonderful story. But every step of the way that I have put faith in spirit, put faith in my ancestors, put faith in my studies, and just stepped out, taking that risk to helping others has been amazingly rewarding.
That is just wonderful. And it's so good to hear that because many of us hear those things or experience
Yes.
all those experiences and either deny them or don't know what to do, know what to do about it because it can be a little overwhelming.
It can. I mean, you might think that you are going crazy. You might think that you're tripping out. And so without having the right support network to unpack what you're going through, you could feel alone. And the only way that I was able to process this was with my spirit guides, because they led me to my first mentor out in Rhode Island. They led me straight to her. I was searching the internet, searching social media. And at the time that I found her, she wasn't really putting a lot of effort into her social media. So the fact that I found her in this tiny town in Rhode Island, that was spirit.
Yes. So let's talk about that, okay? Because I love talking about it.
Of course.
So finding your spirit guide, what does that look like? Like what? How do we get there? Because so many of us might just be at that cusp.
So great question. I will say that for African and African American people, the best way to start is with your ancestors. the best way to start is with your ancestors. They're the people who have known you before you decided to incarnate on this earth. They're the ones who will get you accustomed to communicating with spirit, accustomed to working with spirit, and accustomed to the vibration that it takes to lift yourself to in order to speak with them and not be freaked out, not be scared about it. So the first way to start communicating with your guides would be to set up an ancestor altar.
Mm-hmm.
Really simple, white cloth, white candle, glass of water. And you ask to, you ask and you welcome your beneficial ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome your beneficial ancestors. Ask them to come and sit with you, meet with you, and guide you and protect you. When you do that, that does two things. That sets the table for who comes in, because not all of our family needs to come to the table. We know this. Some folks don't need to come to the table. And the other thing that it does is for those ancestors who we thought did not need to come to the table, who might have transitioned and elevated,
Mm-hmm.
by being specific yet open and saying beneficial ancestors, it allows them to come through in a vibration you might not have known that they existed at on the other side.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. This is great because I will tell you that because my background has been, I've seen this. I grew up like that. My grandmother was a spiritualist. Okay,
Yes.
that's what she did, espiritista. Okay.
Oh, yes.
All right. So, and I love telling this story. I had the beauty of growing up around that vibration.
Mm-hmm.
So it having an altar
Mm-hmm.
was something I can't remember not ever seeing.
Right, right.
Okay. So, my experience is a little bit different. There's some of us who have come across or who have, are in this place where we're trying to find it, and we're here, in the Enchanted Life
Yeah.
collective, kind of seeking, we're on different
Yes.
levels. And
Yes.
so that information is so important and included actually in the basic course, okay, of having to do that.
It's
So
so
there's work.
important. Yes, it is so important. And your ancestors, they're going to come through. They're going to guide you and steer your ship, steering you away from choppier waters, unless there's something that you need to learn. But even then, they steer you into choppy waters in a way that you're always protected.
Mm.
You're always protected. And they start speaking to you and helping you then start steering and guiding the ship along your individual path.
Mm-hmm.
Your ancestors are always there for you to step forward onto that path. They will lead you to the right people, and they will keep the wrong people away from you.
Mm-hmm.
So understand that you might lose some people that you thought were friends, but they weren't.
Yeah. So we've gotten to, we've got our altar, a better understanding about it. We have, honored our ancestor
Yep.
and opened the portal, so to speak,
Yes.
for that communication to begin.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of what's next,
Great question. So when you sit with your ancestors, you ask them to guide you to that next step, to lead you to the right people. They will lead you to the Enchanted Life, and they will lead you to people and courses that really resonate with you. And when you speak with them, speak in regular communication, like you're sitting at the kitchen table. You don't need to do anything fancy. You don't need to speak in any specific language unless that's the language that you were raised in and that's your culture. But just talk. And that's how they start leading you to the Enchanted Life, to practitioners like myself, Oshuntula. And one of the things that you might want to look into as well is an astrology chart, which is one of my specialties. Now, let me tell you, you're seeing Nyrka's eyes go like this, like, yes. When you are born, when you were born, the planets in the sky, they were in certain places, making certain angles or aspects to each other. What that means is that is your blueprint. The date, time, and location of your birth create a blueprint of those planets, a blueprint of the signs, and where they sit on your chart. This is your not only your roadmap, but it's your user's manual. Every single one of us was born with the user's manual. And that user manual is your birth chart. It will talk about the 3 facets of your personality, your sun, your moon, and your rising. You're not just one face. You are 3 faces. It will talk about areas of success and victory, areas of struggle. It will talk about the best ways to make money, what's up with relationship situations, how you behave in these different situations, because every natal chart has all 12 signs. So even though you were born a Taurus, there are areas in your chart where you exhibit the energy of an Aries, or that area of your life exhibits Aries energy towards you.
Yes.
All of that is in your chart. And one of the things that I say a lot is those energies are at play for our lives. And then when we realize, until we become conscious of those energies, when we become conscious of those energies, we then know how to work with them, how to work around them, what to avoid. And then we become in charge of the energies rather than the energies being in charge of us.
Can you say that again?
Yes, absolutely.
So pay attention, people. Okay.
Yes,
Maybe you were getting coffee or something. I don't know what you were doing. But this is key. All right.
Yes.
Take us back.
The energy of this blueprint exerts itself in your life. And it continues exerting itself in your life, even though you're not cognizant of it. The purpose of getting your birth chart done is to become cognizant and aware of those energies. Because the sooner you do, the sooner you're in charge of the energies, and the energies are not in charge of you.
Exactly. Exactly right. So, case in point. Okay. In case somebody need a case study, I got it. So, I had a Dano reading with Mambo Josy, and it was just amazing how revealing it was.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one particular segment of it about watching out, and I'm going to talk about it, okay? Watching out for bad boys, okay? Because I had the tendency to be attracted to bad boys. And I was like, yeah, that was something at a time, you know. But that was true, and what happened. Now I understand it better.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't expect it to reveal itself. So within a week of that, darn if that energy did not appear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It appeared. And at first it was like, But at the same time, it was like,
Yes.
And so understanding that, because I had heard it, and now my energy was more aware of it.
Yes.
I was then I'm still listening now. I'm still listening. But it's like, no.
The spidey senses.
Absolutely. And so when you talk about being able to manage those energies, that's what she's talking about.
Yes. Okay. Yep. I talk about how to manage those energies. And also, we talk about your spiritual gifts. Which of the alchemical elements are you most gifted in? Meaning earth, air, fire, or water, or a combination, because each of us have different gifts. And so, case in point, not everyone is meant to see spirit with their physical eyes.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much stress put on clairvoyance, seeing. We have 6 psychic senses. All 5 of our physical senses are also our psychic senses, as well as clear knowing when spirit puts a thought in your head. So understand that where you may not be clairvoyant, you might hear spirit or smell something or taste something or feel something. And that's what the natal chart helps to bring about. And as well as what type of magic is your wheelhouse? Fire magic, water magic, earth magic? Are you gifted with plants? Do you know how much tremendous healing and power and magic there is in the plant world? So it's really coming into your own spiritually, energetically, and magically. That's how important it is to get your birth chart done.
Mm-hmm. Coming into your own spiritually, energetically, and magically.
Yes.
And I'm signed up for all of them. Earlier I said that everything we need, we have at our disposal.
Absolutely.
So how is it that one discovers that and hones in on being able to use that?
Great question. So when we go over your natal chart, there are areas on your chart that I pay attention to. And I'm also downloading from Spirit. Spirit is indicating to me how to help you apply that. So for some people with earth magic, it might be meditating outside, or it might be speaking to plants, or it might be making magical items like mojo bags. Whatever is that specific area for that person, Spirit guides me in their natal chart to help them understand and use that. Because once you have no idea how important that natal chart is, once that all comes up out of your natal chart, you then start practicing. Yes. Let's say crystals is your wheelhouse because you are heavy in earth, and earth is one of your areas of inherent magic. So you start working with crystals, meditate with them, create crystal items, sleep with crystals, walk with crystals, make crystal grids. So once you learn what areas are your spiritual and alchemical wheelhouse, start thinking about ways to practice with them. Also taking away the ways that we cover in our natal chart session of how you can practice with them.
Mm-hmm. So understanding, recognizing where you are based on how you landed here, okay?
Yes.
How your star landed here, right?
Yes.
And being able to identify that and then put into practice what you're focused on.
Exactly. For someone who fire magic is their thing, fire scrying, working with candles. Candle magic is heavily focused on fire and air. Okay, so burning petitions.
Yes.
Creating a ritual around a bonfire.
Mm-hmm.
All different ways that you can look into putting fire magic into play. Working with fiery elements like cinnamon and cayenne pepper, things that bring about quick change. Dragon's blood.
Mm-hmm.
Once you know your element or elements, then that can help you. The world is your oyster. You're only limited by your imagination.
Mm-hmm.
So you take what starts out of the session with the natal chart, you start applying those, and then you'll see how your magical practice grows.
Yes. Absolutely. So for those of us who are, at the beginning of our journey, all right, like for me, it just enhances the importance of getting the information from the right place, and I want you to speak to that.
Yes.
Getting the information from the right place, because what I have heard over and over in the collective is that we come to this place with all of that stuff,
Yeah.
okay, which then blocks our ability to understand our purpose.
Absolutely.
So, how do we figure out what's the right voice
To listen to?
to listen to?
That is a great question. Honestly, my personal opinion is to have your ancestors lead you to that one step.
Okay.
Take the first right step. And so here's my recommendation, because when you first start into this path, you don't know where you're going, what you're doing, what it is, who's a what, and it can be really easy to get confused, overwhelmed, and taken advantage of.
Yes.
So easy. You'll have someone in a Facebook group saying, "Oh, I'm doing free readings, just inbox me." And next thing you know, you're scammed out of something. Or you'll have someone who, and this is one of my little soapboxes, being a mambo of voodoo, someone who is not initiated, trying to teach you how to work with deities of African traditional religions.
Mm.
There are people out in these magical streets doing a whole lot of nonsense, and it's dangerous. It is very dangerous. There's one group that I help administer, and one person found something off of Google, and it went sideways and left. Sideways and left. So this person has to do a lot of cleansing. My recommendation, in order to avoid that, please, 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 please set up your ancestor altar. Sit with them, speak with them, ask them to lead you to the right person. And they're going to speak in synchronicities, things that you might think are coincidental, but it's going to feel right in your spirit. You're going to be intrigued, like, this is interesting. That resonates with me. Ooh, I love how they rep themselves. I wonder, how did this come across my news feed? And you're going to be drawn in. Your energy, your aura, your heart is going to leap through into your screen, telling you go there. And that's how you know it's coming from spirit.
Mm-hmm. So that's like back to basics. You tell me that. It's like connect with your peoples.
Yes, okay. Connect with your people. Because think about it. What is going to get you the best results? Marching off on your own, or going with the guidance of someone who's done this before?
Mm-hmm.
Going on your own, or going side by side with someone in spirit who's not only done this before, but knows you, knows the terrain, and has your best interest at heart.
Mm-hmm.
These magical streets aren't no joke.
And that happens over and over again. And we see it in the collective,
yes,
as questions about experiences or something that somebody said to somebody. And we want you to share that, okay? Yeah. We want you to share that. But it's important to understand where it's coming from.
Yes, and what's amazing about, one of the many things that's amazing about the collective, is that the collective will begin teaching you how to do the divining that you need to do for yourself when you have these questions, because we always come onto this path with questions. And we start by learning from our teachers, going through the levels of the Enchanted Life and learning our energy work, learning our tarot work. And then we begin to evolve to where we're working more side by side with spirit. And our guidance is that mutual, conversation where, okay, I know this is happening. Let's talk about this. Let's divine about this. Let's get clarity on this. And it's transformative. But it takes that first step. Ask your ancestors to lead you to that first step.
Mm-hmm. That is essential. Just like you can't, or normally you can't skip, grades without passing the test.
Yeah.
And getting the proper instructions.
Yes, yes. It's so essential to get the proper instructions from people who resonate with you. Because I tell people all the time, I am not everyone's cup of tea. However, I am, listen, I tell truth. I tell truth, I don't hold it back.
Yeah, you do.
I tell truth, I don't hold it back. I will tell a person in an instant that if you are not initiated into an African traditional religion, you have no business petitioning Papa Legba. None. And people don't want to hear that because they want to go skip those steps. So for that reason, I'm not everyone's cup of tea. But for the people who are really about that step-by-step doing the work process of elevation and growth, I'm your shot of whiskey.
Yes, absolutely. I'll take a double. I will take a double. So some of the, you talked about doing the work, and I want to just kind of zero in on that.
Absolutely.
That's really important. Tell us why that is important, doing the work.
Doing the work is important because it is essential to becoming the best version of yourself. That is your meditations, that is your sitting with spirit, that is your energy work, aligning your chakras, understanding your blueprint in order to know how the external environment is affecting your internal self. All of that work is essential to becoming the best version of yourself. You can't skip that work.
You can't. You really can't because, well, you can look, okay, I can look back and say, when I did that, I wasn't really connected.
Yeah. And let's also be real that some of the work is getting to know your shadow side.
Come on.
Let's talk about shadow work.
Come on.
There are parts of all of our personalities that we like to keep hidden because it's not pretty. It's not the love and light and the glowing rainbows and the unicorns. By doing that, you're also dismissing a core part of who you are. You can't have light without shadow. You cannot have day without night. You cannot have the higher version of yourself when you're completely disconnected to your base self and to your shadow. There's power in the shadow. There's transformation. Power and transformation in your shadow. And in order to meet the needs of your whole self, you need to know what your shadow needs so you can evolve that along with your growth. Your shadow will evolve with you, and it's a good thing.
Absolutely. It's like having, you talked about getting the chart and being able to see all of those elements around you, all of those things, what's working, what's not, what you might be influenced by, the kind of voices that you listen to. It's very concrete. It's very concrete, but I believe that we approach it because it's energy and it's vibration. We approach it as if like we can't get our hands on it when we can. Okay.
Absolutely. And we also approach it as seeing a lower vibration as bad. Oh, it's low vibration. It's bad. We are made up of all spectrums of vibration. And dismissing any one of those vibrations is detrimental to you.
Yes. Wow. Because you're trying to skip steps and you can't.
Yes. And you're trying to brush off the part of you that is, your shadow will protect you like nobody's business. It will protect you like nobody's business. But when you ignore it, you then come into conflict with it. And that conflict, you won't be able to understand how come certain themes are repeating or certain things happen. You can't seem to get certain situations right because you're in conflict between two sides of your nature. And you know what happens with conflict? When you don't address it, it blows up.
Yep, sure does. It sure does. And often in my experience, It's not in a way that might even be related to,
Exactly.
the topic. It's something that comes out at work, okay?
Mhm.
But it really is at the core of not dealing with something or understanding.
Exactly. When you're in internal conflicts and that struggle, it has its imprint in your energy, and it builds and it builds and it builds until something completely unrelated or related happens, and it triggers a powder keg.
Mm-hmm.
Self-sabotage.
Yes.
Self-sabotage, whether it's your work life, your personal life, your romantic life, your business life, and you don't understand how this sabotage happens all the time. Well, are you in conflict with a key part of your personality?
Hmm. Yes. And so in recognizing your shadows, okay, and we've already said that they're nothing to be ashamed of.
Nothing at
Okay.
all. Own it.
Yeah, and where there's light, there's shadow.
Exactly.
How is it that we can then, by recognizing it and accepting it, how is it that we can incorporate it in our ability to elevate?
Great question. So when you recognize and you integrate and accept your shadow, you will feel an energetic surge.
Hmm.
You will feel it. The process of shadow work is kind of like a roller coaster. Not gonna lie. You come out the gates, and for some, it's the extreme high. I got this. I got this. I got this. For some, it immediately starts with, "What the hell is this?" But we all go through those waves. What's essential is processing your shadow work in manageable chunks and pieces, which varies from person to person. You can't do shadow work is sometimes a lifelong process, but it is a long-term process at least. So you take those in chunks. After you've processed one part of your shadow, you do some self-care. Dance or take a bath, or, buy something that makes you feel pretty, or go out to eat, whatever helps you boost. And you'll find a few days after that self-care, when you think back and you are processing that integration and you've accepted that part of your shadow, you're going to feel an energetic surge and a relief that you've accepted it.
Yes.
And that is what elevates you.
Yes. I know you. I know you for who you
Yes.
are. You're me. Okay.
Exactly.
And I know how we can work together,
Exactly.
to take it to the next level.
Exactly. Because before you do that, you're doing this with a string. You're pulling against each other, which is exhausting. It's actually draining your energy, it's draining your life force. So when you work together, you come together, you're no longer pulling against each other. That extra energy boost goes back into you, and that's your elevation.
Hmm. Hmm. And that constant work, that constant meditation, going
Yes.
before your ancestors,
Hmm.
all of those things, that repetition will build you up and remind you. I mean, when spirit is talking, you're like, yeah,
Yes.
I hear you. Okay.
Yeah.
I hear you really.
Loud and clear.
Yes. And I hear you in the way that I know that it's you,
Hmm.
because it is a conversation.
Yes. And that integrated part of yourself will give you guidance and ideas that will only benefit your growth because it feels accepted and not rejected.
Mm, yes. Because so many of us are in this collective or on the periphery of
Yeah.
the collective. And the collective, I mean, we're talking specifically right now about the Enchanted Life. However, outside of this, there are communities and energies and so forth
Yes.
that are aligned with that as
Yeah.
well. So it's happening not only on the inside, but on the outside of this. And we've got to come out of collective every once in a while.
Every once in a while.
every once in a while, and so what we learn, we're able to expand that. I love this. I love this. So for the benefits of having your understanding not only your natal chart, but how else can it be beneficial to understand?
Yes. Great question. So every moment of every day, the planets are doing something, right? You have Pluto doing this, you have Mars doing that, you have Venus doing something else. When you understand your blueprint, then you come back to me and we talk about what's happening in the skies right now and how is that going to affect me? How do I address this?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say, for instance, we had the new moon, okay? And the new moon yesterday was making certain angles and aspects to other planets. What I do is I overlay that chart with your chart. And I say, here are the things that are looking like they're popping up in this lunar cycle. I do the same thing with what we call your solar return, because we have more than one new year. We have the new year of the world, which is January 1st. Our personal new year is our birthday. So every time the sun returns to where it was when we were born, all of the other planets are doing different things. And that tells us, yes, every time the sun returns to where it was when we were born, the planets are doing different things. And that tells us what the focus is going to be for the next year, how our life is going to change and evolve for the next year. All of that is astrology. So I take current planets, or I take a point in time. If you say, hey, Josy, I'm looking at taking on this business venture on this date, how does that date look for my business? Well, I look at the birth chart of that business because you have picked a date. And then I look at how it relates to your chart. And I say, well, the business's chart looks like this, your chart looks like that, and we compare the two. Same thing for relationships. Get those dates, times, and locations of birth and come see me. Yeah.
Like, hi, how you doing? Nice to meet you. When's your birthday? Location, time?
Exactly. Once you know your blueprint, and it's like any blueprint. Let's say you have the blueprint of a house, right?
Mm-hmm.
You buy a house and you want to make changes to it. Well, you have to know how the house is built first. You don't know how the house is built until you see the blueprint. Now you know, okay, I can change this, but that's a foundational beam. I don't want to change that. I can make an addition here and a change there, and I can make, I can take this off and I put that on. That's the same thing with astrology. Once you know your blueprint, you know internal changes that you can make, and you also know how external factors like the weather, again, the planets, how external factors impact your internal chart.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's in every phase.
Yes.
In every phase.
Yes.
As we move forward. So, okay. So we are so blessed. You know, it is a great blessing that you are the astrologer. Okay, the official astrologer for the Enchanted Life organization.
Yes, I'm so blessed and so excited. So excited.
Yes. So I personally highly recommend it. And it's actually a requirement. Okay. Yeah. That because if we want to operate in our best, we want to really heal ourselves, you know, our communities, and especially starting with ourselves, you need to understand at least that basic. So
Yes.
Everyone will have the opportunity for that experience. So how do we get in touch with you?
Great question. So you can send me a message on the website. It has been fixed. Thankfully, I had some account issues. Or you can send me an email at healingwhispers33@gmail.com.
Okay. Wait a minute. Let me just use the technology here.
Absolutely.
Healing Whispers 33 at Gmail, you said?
Gmail.com. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And where else can we reach you?
You can reach me on Facebook. My professional page is Healing Whispers. That's actually the business I operate outside of the collective.
Okay.
You can reach me at my Mambo Josy Facebook page.
Okay.
And you can friend request that page or DM that page.
Okay.
And I have a Josie Smith personal page. I'm only taking DMs on that page. I'm not taking friend requests on that page. And when you reach out to me, please let me know that you're part of the Enchanted Life. So that way the cost for the Enchanted Life is less than my public costs. And it also incorporates an administrative fee. So I need to make sure all of the books are straight. I don't want to confuse you with my external clients. So please let me know that you are part of the Enchanted Life when you reach out to me to book. When you reach out to me, if you're DMing me, please, how do I put this? Make a complete sentence. Don't just say hi, Mambo, or hi, Josie. Please say, hello, my name is such and such. I'm with the Enchanted Life. I'd like to book my natal chart.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm crazy busy and I want to give equal attention to everyone. I'm not going to reply to partial messages. I'm sorry. I love you, but please send me a complete message.
Yeah, get it right, people. Let's get the basics right. So I've put that down there, some of the ways to reach you. And really in the collective, you can actually, in the Enchanted Life, you can just go in and find Josie, okay, on the website as well, on the website as well. So, and we're just learning the website is coming along, but there's no way that you can't not find her. Okay.
Yes, there are multiple ways of finding me. Please reach out. And when you reach out to me, I will get back to you as soon as possible.
And she does that.
Yes, usually within 24 hours or less.
Yes, she absolutely does this. I am really honored to be able to interact with you. I'm so glad that you took this time to share with us so that we might be enlightened. It is so important. I really believe that we need to use every tool and piece of wisdom and connection that we have acquired during our journey.
Absolutely.
All of those lessons that we've learned, the people we've interacted with, the books that we've read, the lives that you watched, whether it was, an uplifting experience or not.
Yeah.
Okay. It's all related to your ability to elevate.
Yes.
And this is just another way for you to really be able to operate at your best.
Yes. And expect to make mistakes along the way. No one is perfect. No one is perfect. Be open to making those mistakes because out of those mistakes are lessons and stories.
Yes.
So know that remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint.
This
is a marathon.
And as Osuntola says, baby steps.
Yes.
Baby steps. So like I said, this is the first of our episodes. I know Josie will come back. Yes. I want to thank my beloveds for their time and attention to this. Thank you so much for joining us here at Enchanted Life Communications Network.
Yes.
And my show, Enchanted Expressions, Beyond the Conversation with Nyrka. Thank you, Josie. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Stay inspired and always stay at peace. Y'all be blessed
Stay
now.
blessed.
All righty.